Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always. What are we looking at today?
Well, today we're going local, Elk Grove Village, Illinois, to be exact.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's an Elk Grove Village?
A family-run auto body shop called Cosmetic Collision.
Auto body repair, huh? All right, let's hear it. What do we know about them?
Well, they've got a website, so that's our main source today.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if by the end we can figure out, one, if this is the kind of place you'd want to trust with your car, and two, maybe pick up some fun facts about this whole world of auto repair.
Sounds like a plan. I'm always down to learn more about keeping cars in tip-top shape.
So, okay, Cosmetic Collision. Been around for over 40 years, which is pretty impressive on its own.
Yeah, 40 years is a long time, especially in the auto industry. Things change so fast these days.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. They actually started back in '78 in Chicago, focusing on theft recovery.
Oh, wow. Theft recovery. So like tracking down stolen cars.
Exactly. But then, and this is the wild part, they made a big shift to specialize in auto body repair. That's quite a change. What do you think prompted that?
I know, right? Makes you wonder what kind of vision they had to see that coming.
It really does. And to make that kind of transition successfully, that says a lot about their adaptability. Being able to roll with the punches and stay ahead of the curve.
Totally. It makes you think about the kind of leadership it takes to navigate that kind of change, you know?
Absolutely. Speaking of expertise, they do mention on their site that all their technicians are ICAR certified.
ICAR certified. So that's like a big deal in the auto repair world.
Big deal, yeah. ICAR is basically the gold standard when it comes to training in the collision repair industry.
Okay, so it's not just some random certification they printed off the internet.
Nope, not at all. It means these technicians have gone through some serious training programs.
To like stay up to date on the latest and greatest in car repair.
Exactly. All the newest techniques, technologies, the whole 9 yards.
And on top of that, they offer a lifetime warranty on their work. That's got to be a good sign, right?
It definitely is. It shows they're confident in their work, and that's got to give you some peace of mind.
Right, you'd think so. Like they're saying, we're so sure we did it right, we'll stand behind it for as long as you own this car.
Exactly. It's a good signal to their customers.
Okay, so they've got the credentials, they're confident in their work, but what about the actual services they offer?
Let's dive into that. Their website lists everything, it seems, from those little dings and dents to full-on collision repair. Pretty standard stuff, right?
Right, you'd expect that from an auto body shop.
But here's where it gets interesting. They also have mechanical services.
Mechanical services, so like oil changes and tune-ups and stuff?
Yeah, all that. Brake repair, engine services, AC work, even stuff for 4x4s. It's pretty impressive.
Wow, that's not something you see every day, right? Usually it's either a body shop or a mechanic, not both.
Exactly. So they're really aiming to be a one-stop shop for all your car needs.
Which, let's be honest, is super convenient these days. Who has time to run all over town for different car stuff?
I know, right? Time is precious. And it seems like Cosmetic Collision gets that.
Yeah.
They even offer some more unusual services like convertible top repair and replacement.
Oh, really?
Undercar repair.
Undercar. Okay. Now that's something I definitely wouldn't think of for an auto body shop.
Right. It makes you think they're really going above and beyond the typical offerings.
Totally. And they even do auto customization.
Customization.
Yeah.
Like making your car unique.
Exactly. I mean, how often do you find a shop that can handle a fender bender, fix your AC, and then trick out your ride?
Not very often, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It makes me think they're not just fixing cars, they're passionate about them.
It's like they're saying, we're car people too, and we get it.
Right. Like, we love cars, and we want to help you love yours even more.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the undercar repairs because that really caught my eye too. It's not something most people think about, right?
Unless you're a serious gearhead, probably not. But honestly, it's so important for your car's safety and performance.
So what are some signs that someone might need undercar repairs? Because honestly, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, some obvious things are rust, of course, but also unusual noises like clunking or scraping when you're driving.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've definitely heard some clunking before.
Right. And even uneven tire wear can be a sign of undercar problems.
Huh. See, I would never thought of that. I would just blame the tires.
It's easy to overlook these things, but it really is worth getting them checked out.
So it sounds like Cosmetic Collision is trying to cover all the bases. And on top of all those services, they also offer things like, let's see, brake repair, engine services, AC work, did we already mention that? Even 4x4 services?
Yeah, we did, but it's worth repeating.
Yeah.
They really do seem to have a pretty comprehensive lineup. And that's smart from a business perspective, too.
How so?
Well, It attracts a wider customer base. You might come in for a dent, but then realize, hey, they can also handle my next oil change.
So you're basically building loyalty and repeat business, right?
Exactly. And speaking of building trust, let's talk about their customer experience. They really seem to go the extra mile to make the whole process stress-free.
Oh, I was just getting to that. They offer free estimates, insurance assistance, which, let's face it, dealing with insurance is never fun.
Tell me about it.
They offer car rental assistance if you need it while your car's in the shop. And they even have free pickup and return service. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Right. It's like they understand how inconvenient car repairs can be. They're trying to take the hassle out of the equation.
And I think that's really smart. It's not just about fixing the car. It's about taking care of the person behind the wheel.
Absolutely. You're not just a number to them. It's like they get that these repairs can be disruptive to people's lives.
Right. It shows a level of empathy that you don't always find in the auto repair world. And, it ties into their whole family approach, which is actually the next thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah, they're join the family model. I'm curious to hear your take on that.
Well, instead of just opening new locations themselves, they actually invite other shops to join their network.
I was reading about that. They let the shops keep their own identity, too, which is interesting.
Right. It's not like they're absorbing them or anything. So it's a pretty unique approach to business growth, wouldn't you say? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's definitely different. It seems like they're more about collaboration than competition,
Yeah.
Like they value the individual expertise of each shop.
While still creating a larger network, right?
Exactly. It's almost like they're building a community of skilled professionals all working together.
That makes a lot of sense. So from a business standpoint, what do you think the benefits might be for the shops that join their network?
Well, for one thing, they get to tap into the reputation and brand recognition of Cosmetic Collision.
So it's like an instant boost in credibility.
Pretty much. It's like a seal of approval that says, hey, we meet certain quality standards. Plus, they might get access to things like training resources, marketing support.
And maybe even a wider customer base.
Exactly. It's a lot of potential upside.
But what about the downsides? There's got to be some trade-offs, right?
Of course. Joining a network like this could mean having to adhere to certain standards or practices set by Cosmetic Collision.
So you gain support, but potentially give up some control. It's a balancing act, I guess.
Exactly. It'd be interesting to hear from some of the shops that have already joined their network to see how it's actually playing out in real life.
Yeah, good point. Get the inside scoop, so to speak. But from a customer's perspective, what do you see as the potential benefits of this whole family approach?
I think the biggest one would be the assurance of a consistent level of quality and service, no matter which location you go to. You know you're getting that Cosmetic Collision level of care.
That's a good point. It takes the guesswork out of finding a good shop.
And it could also streamline things like warranty coverage or customer support.
Yeah.
It's like dealing with a larger organization that has your back, rather than just a single shop.
It's definitely food for thought. This whole family model makes you think differently about how these businesses can operate and grow.
Absolutely. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to unpack here.
I know. The more we dig, the more interesting it gets. But we gotta save some stuff for later.
Agreed. This deep dive is far from over.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. Their history, their expertise, those services, how they treat their customers, and even this unique business model. But before we move on, there's one more thing I want us to go back to. You mentioned earlier that undercar repair is often overlooked.
It is. And it's a shame because it's so important.
I'm curious, why do you think people tend to neglect that part of their car maintenance?
So undercar repairs, huh? What is it about that got you thinking?
Well, to be honest, it's not something I would usually associate with an auto body shop.
Yeah, you don't usually think of customization and bodywork in the same place.
Right. Like I think of dents, collision work, maybe a new paint job if I'm feeling fancy.
But customization, yeah, that's a whole different world.
Yeah. Exactly. It just seems so, I don't know, unexpected.
I get it. It suggests a different side of car culture,
Like what?
Like they're not just fixing cars, they're helping people express themselves through their cars. That passion, that creativity.
The desire to make your car an extension of your personality, you mean?
Exactly. And that's pretty cool, I think.
It is. It makes me wonder, though, what kind of people are they attracting with that service?
Good question.
Are we talking serious car enthusiasts here? The kind of people who, soup up their rides for racing or shows?
Could be. They do mention things like exterior customization on their website.
Which could be anything, right?
Right. From something small like adding a spoiler or some racing stripes
Yeah.
to full-on custom paint jobs and body kits.
And then there's the bumper repair, which I guess could be for those everyday dings and scratches.
Exactly. So maybe they're catering to both crowds, the serious gearheads and the everyday drivers who just want to add a little personal touch to their cars.
You know, it's funny. I never would have thought of going to an auto body shop for that kind of thing.
I know, right? It's not the first place that comes to mind.
But now that we're talking about it, it makes sense. You're already trusting them with the, structural integrity of your car.
So why not the aesthetics, too?
Exactly.
And it all plays into that family feel they're going for, you know? Like, we're car people. We get you. And we can help you make your car awesome.
Totally. Okay, so let's see what they've got listed. They've got vinyl wraps, window tinting, custom lighting. It's like a whole menu of options.
It is. I wonder if they have a portfolio of past projects somewhere on their site. I'd love to see some actual examples of what they've done.
Me too. It would be cool to see the range of work they've done and get a feel for their style.
Totally.
Do you think they specialize in certain types of cars, or is it more of a bring us anything and we'll make it awesome kind of vibe?
It's hard to say without seeing that portfolio.
True.
But they do seem to have that can-do attitude, you know? Like, they're up for any challenge.
Yeah, you're right. So they've got this artistic side, but they're also all about quality and technical expertise.
That's what makes them unique, I think. It's not just about slapping on some fancy paint or a cool decal.
They're iCar certified, remember? With that lifetime warranty.
Exactly. You're getting both creativity and precision. It's a good combination.
It really is. And it makes you think about the level of trust you'd have to have in a shop to let them customize your car, you know?
Yeah, you're handing them the keys to something that's more than just a vehicle.
It's an expression of who you are.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're working with people who get that.
And speaking of trusting them with your car, they even offer auto glass replacement. It's like they're a one-stop shop for everything car-related.
I know, it's pretty amazing. And it brings us back to that join the family business model.
Oh, right. We were talking about that.
We talked about the benefits for the shops and the customers, but what about the bigger picture?
What do you mean?
Like, what kind of impact could a model like this have on the whole auto repair industry?
That's a good question. Well, for one thing, it's definitely a different approach than the traditional franchise model, right? It seems more collaborative, more focused on empowering individual shops.
Rather than just like absorbing them into a larger corporation.
Exactly.
And I think that could lead to some positive changes in the industry, you know?
In what way?
Imagine like a network of independent shops all across the country, all upholding these high standards of quality, sharing best practices.
Supporting each other.
Exactly. It could really raise the bar for the whole industry.
It's almost like creating a community, right?
Yeah.
A network of trust and shared knowledge.
Exactly. And that could benefit everyone, the shops, the customers, even the industry as a whole.
But there's always the risk, I guess, that it could get too big, too corporate, and lose that personal touch.
That's true. It's a tough balance to strike growing while staying true to those core values. It'll be interesting to see how Cosmetic Collision handles that as they get bigger.
Yeah, good point. So we've talked about their history, their commitment to expertise, that crazy range of services, their customer focus, this whole family approach. Is there anything else that stands out to you about Cosmetic Collision?
You know what really strikes me? It's how they manage to combine the practical with the personal. They're not just fixing cars. They're helping people take care of their cars and express themselves through them.
It's like they're creating an experience.
Exactly. It goes beyond just getting your car repaired, you know.
I see what you mean. They're elevating the whole concept of car care.
Making it more about connection, community.
And they're doing it with that high level of quality and expertise, which has got to be reassuring for people.
Absolutely. You get the sense that they're not cutting corners. They're genuinely invested in doing things right.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. But I want to circle back to something you said earlier about undercar repairs and how it's often overlooked.
Oh, yeah. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do people tend to neglect that part of their car maintenance?
You know, I think it's that old saying, out of sight, out of mind.
Because it's under the car, you mean?
Exactly. We see the dings and scratches, the stuff on the surface.
But we don't think about what's going on underneath.
Right. And that's where the real damage can happen over time, you know.
From what?
Road debris, salt in the winter, moisture, all that stuff can wreak havoc on the undercarriage.
So we're basically neglecting a whole part of our cars just because we don't see it every day.
Pretty much. And it can really come back to bite you later on.
In what way?
Well, think about it. Rust can eat away at important parts, like your brake lines, exhaust system, even the frame of your car.
Oh, wow. That doesn't sound good.
It's not. It can compromise the whole structure of your car, make it unsafe to drive.
So it's a safety issue, not just a cosmetic thing.
Exactly. And then there are the performance problems that can pop up.
Like what?
Worn out suspension parts, for example. That can mess with your car's handling, make it harder to control, especially if you have to brake suddenly or swerve to avoid something.
So it's really about keeping yourself and everyone else on the road safe.
Exactly. It's not just about looking good. It's about making sure your car is reliable and running its best.
And I guess a lot of people think undercar repairs are, like, super expensive and complicated, right?
Yeah, that's a common misconception. Sometimes it's a simple fix, like replacing a rusty bolt or a worn bushing.
But you got to catch it early.
Exactly. That's the key. Preventative maintenance can save you so much hassle and money down the road.
It's like anything else. Take care of it, and it'll take care of you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And, it brings us right back to Cosmetic Collision and their whole approach.
Their family model, you mean?
Well, yeah, that too. But I was thinking more about their commitment to looking at the big picture.
To that whole car care, you mean?
Exactly. They're not just focused on fixing what's broken. They're thinking ahead, trying to prevent those problems before they even start.
It's like they're taking a more proactive approach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sets them apart.
Okay, so let's wrap things up. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from theft recovery to undercar care. It's been quite a journey.
If you're in the Elk Grove Village area and need anything car-related, it sounds like Cosmetic Collision is the place to go.
I'd say so. They've got the expertise, the experience, and that customer-focused approach that makes all the difference.
And even if you're not in their area, I think their story is a great reminder to support those local businesses that are really going above and beyond.
Absolutely. Do your research, ask around you. Might be surprised at the hidden gems you find.
Don't just settle for the first place that pops up on a Google search.
Right. Look for businesses that have a passion for what they do, a story to tell.
And hey, don't forget about that undercarriage.
That's right. A little preventative maintenance goes a long way.
Keep those cars running smoothly and safely. And if you've got any favorite auto body shops, we'd love to hear about them. Until next time, happy driving, everyone.